everybody. Gary Apple alongside the former Providence and Iona head coach Tim Welch. Another season of Connecticut basketball here on SNY. And Tim, the expectations, they are raised. The Huskies are ranked 20th in the preseason AP poll. And a couple of the reasons for big expectations, a couple of graduate transfers. One by the name of Sterling Gibbs. He comes via Seton Hall. And the other, Sean Miller, a tremendous player who comes from Cornell. Let's begin with Gibbs and what he brings.
Well, Gibbs had an outstanding year a season ago for Seton Hall. Made a lot of big shots, big plays, gets to the free throw line. Good defensive on-ball player. Toughness, can play both guard positions. Experience at the highest level. There's no question he will be outstanding for Connecticut, as will Sean Miller, another guy who makes plays. Even though he played in the Ivy League level, everyone in the country wanted this man because they knew he could step in and play different positions. That's what he'll do. A good passer, can play at the high post, step out, make threes, and also defend and rebound with the best.
One of the things Kevin Ollie loves about his team, he's got tremendous depth. He looks to go 10 or 11 deep this year. Question is, who's going to step to the forefront? Who's going to be that leader? Here's Kevin.
I think we have a lot of leaders in here. Of course, I'll need that alpha dog, and a lot of people is trying to, fill that void, but you can't fill it. You can't be a Ryan Boatwright. You can't be a Kimball. You can't be a Shabazz. You can be yourself.
I love those words, alpha dog. Who's going to be that guy to be the leader, going to step up for Kevin?
Well, the reason most people have Connecticut in the top 10, top 20 is because they have a lot of options who's going to be the alpha dog. But Daniel Hamilton, most people believe around the country, is going to have a breakout season. Outstanding as a freshman, but inconsistent as most freshmen are at times. But he has that mid-range game, tremendous athleticism out in transition, can play both forward spots. Very good passer and decision maker. Needs a better shot selection game at times, but I think you'll see that. Just his confidence level, his presence on the floor is more mature at this point.
You speak about freshmen. Connecticut has two very good ones. One is Stephen Enoch. He's 6'11", 255 pounds. He's a beast. And the other one is a very, very highly regarded guard by the name of Jalen Adams, a consensus top 30 recruit. Tell us about Adams.
Well, Kevin Ollie says he's a combination of Shabazz Napier and Ryan Boatwright. People in Connecticut smile because we know what they've done over the past 4 years with this program, and he's got the trickery of Napier and the speed of Boatwright. He's more of a push point than Gibbs. You'll see Gibbs slide to the 2, maybe Purvis to the 3. They'll play a smaller lineup, a really fast lineup with this man running the show. He'll make mistakes, but he'll also bring people to their feet in Gamble.
Well, UConn, they have never lost their Gamble Pavilion opener. They look to keep that streak intact tonight. It is the 100th meeting between Connecticut and Maine. Going to have the starting lineups and the opening tip when we come back from the campus of the University of Connecticut in a moment. We get a check of the starting lineup for Connecticut, presented by Bob's Discount Furniture. It's Gibbs and Purvis in the backcourt. Daniel Hamilton, Sean Miller up front. The big man, 7-foot Amita Brima in the middle. The head coach is Kevin Ollie, beginning his 4th year at the helm of the Connecticut Huskies. Already has a national championship under his belt. On the Maine side, Aaron Calixte and Kevin Little are in the backcourt. Ilya Stojakovic, the freshman from Serbia. Isaac Van, another freshman. Till Glager, they'll be in the front court, and they are coached by Bob Walsh, his 2nd year at Maine. You know him pretty well, Tim. He was one of your former assistants at Providence.
Yeah, Bob's done an outstanding job in his coaching career, building the Maine program, bringing in all these new freshmen this year, more athletic than they were a year ago. You're going to see a lot of new faces, a lot of interchangeable parts, and a lot of depth from Maine tonight.
Excitement in the building tonight. Opening night, it's Amita Brima and Till Glager getting set to jump center. Connecticut in the home white, Maine in the visiting blue, and Sterling Gibbs comes away with it for Connecticut. Rodney Purvis, transfer from North Carolina State, kicking back to Hamilton. And Connecticut is on the board. Daniel Hamilton from downtown, first 3 points of the game.
Free flowing right out of the gate, Gary. Ball changing sides of the floor, terrific spacing, sharing the ball.
There's the freshman, Isaac Van, little bit out of control, and Brima doing what he does best, swatting away his first shot of the season.
Looking very comfortable early, UConn, just with nice spacing, 4 around 1, and this is what Daniel Hamilton can do. He stretches the floor, presents really mismatched nightmares.
Hamilton averaging just a little bit under 11 points a game. A season ago, he's All-American Conference first team in the coaches' preseason poll. Kevin Little, number 2, from way downtown. And Kevin Little answers right back for the Black Bears.
That's what he does. He can spot up. He's very, very energetic. He's a born scorer. Outstanding looking freshman in the America East.
Rodney Purvis uncorking a 3, and it's off the back iron, and a foul on Maine. It's going to stay on the Connecticut side.
Well, it's important for a guy like Kevin Little to get going. You know, he's a confident player. Averaged 13 points a year ago. Is all freshman team in the America East, and he could present some problems for UConn's guards on the perimeter.
Rodney Purvis off the inbounds, the mid-range jump shot, the art, Tim, of the mid-range jump shot. Talk about the fact that it's lost in many ways in the college game, but Connecticut has some guys who can shoot it. And there's our good look at Sean Miller. That's what he does so well, stepping into the passing lane.
Connecticut, they can change their schemes almost on a nightly basis, and in the middle of games with guys like Hamilton and Miller out there, they can do some switching and overplaying on the wings to play fast.
Amita Brima getting over and doing it again. His second block, and we're just less than 2 minutes into the game.
Well, this pass is too far and too loose on the perimeter against a team like UConn. They're going to get up in the passing lanes, put pressure on the ball, and overplay and look for the steals.
Aaron Calixte, the sophomore from Massachusetts, inbounding, gets it to Stojakovic. Just dominating, swatting away his 3rd shot of the game as they've got such a huge height differential.
Well, Maine's doing a nice job of beating their initial defender and getting into the gap, and here you see Calixte doing that, but when you have a guy like Brima, you've got to make the extra pass against the shot blocker.
Stojakovic, the freshman from downtown, banks it in.
Maine looks loose early, Gary, and I think that's Bob Walsh's philosophy here tonight. You know, they're coming down here, they're coming to win, but they know they're playing with house money against a kind of an overmatched Maine, but Maine's going to come in with all freshmen. They're going to move the ball around, and Stojakovic is a good-looking young player who can step out on the perimeter.
Kevin Little called for the foul, his first personal, 2nd on the team, and we'll get into it during the course of the night, Tim, but the rules have been tightened up this year, more than 35 rules changes, and one of them really trying to get freedom of movement in the game, not hand-checking, no hand-checking going to be allowed this year. Hamilton putting it up for Brima and creating off the bounce.
Well, we saw this a year ago on numerous occasions, a lot of times against the zone where they'll put Daniel Hamilton in the middle of the gap and he'll just float in, and you see his deftness to pass the ball and pinpoint delivery at the rim to Brima.
Stojakovic is rejected, 4th rejection of the game already for Connecticut.
Well, I was about to say Hamilton's dribbling the ball a little bit too much, but he creates just enough of an angle to draw the defense on the backside, and Maine has to stay home on the big guy and put a body on Brima, because if he gets an angle to the rim, it's over.
Brima's gotten a little bit stronger this season. Don't forget, he's had some monster games. Had a 40-point game a year ago against Coppin State, made every one of his field goals in that game, so he can be a dominant presence in the middle.
You can't help off him. You've got to keep a body on him. If he does get to the rim, try to get him to the free throw line.
Sterling Gibbs firing up an air ball, going to go back over to Maine. It went off Brima.
We've seen UConn, they're trying to push the pace this season, averaging only 64 points a game, and Maine is trying to do the same thing. They've got a fusion of good athletes that they brought into the program, Isaac Van, and they think they can, Divine Ake, they think they can play in their conference at a high pace, but so far they're going right at Connecticut, especially on the offensive end.
This is Gloger, he's 6 feet 8 inches tall. Very soft on the left hand. Till Gloger, his first bucket of the season.
It's a good move by Gloger down in the post. Took it right to the chest. Wasn't afraid of the shot blocker, Brian.
Gloger averaged about 11.5 a game a season ago. Beautiful up fake by Hamilton, but he's called for a travel.
Hamilton has to make his moves within the context of the offense. And right now, UConn in the half court trying to go a little bit too quickly. And the first possession was nice. They moved the ball side to side. The last few, a little bit too much dribbling.
Van inside, and Brima would have none of it. Again, Amita Brima absolutely dominating on the defensive end.
Well, the leader in shot blocks in the country a year ago, quite a good start on opening night, and happy about it.
UConn has the early 1-point lead over Maine. They've been dominant at the defensive end so far. They've outblocked Maine 5-0, and Amita Brima has been right in the middle of it.
Well, at the beginning of the season, when you're playing your first game, and you don't play against this type of competition every day in practice, it takes a while to get used to a guy like this, and you may never get used to having him in the middle of the floor because their drives to the rim have been pretty good. They're getting by the initial defender, but Maine has to understand that number 35 is standing in the middle ready to attack. So they have to drive the ball at Brima and then make the extra pass because he is too good of a shot blocker and a guy who's going to make plays, just change plays at the rim.
Brima, All-American Conference preseason second team, averaged about 3.5 blocks a game a season ago, as Tim said, led the nation. This is Stojakovic. Beautiful backdoor feed, and Van cannot finish, had a wide open layup.
Well, now Maine has to make an adjustment and understand that Brima's not in the game, and sometimes just what goes on early will give you a little bit happy feet at the rim throughout the game, not understanding that Brima's not on the floor.
Jalen Adams, the freshman, Kenton Facey, both into the game as Hamilton on the floor is hit by Kevin Little.
And here you see the effects, Gary, of the rule changes, and the officials calling it tight on the perimeter. And you cannot put your hands or displace the offensive player as he makes a drive to the basket.
Garrett Beal, number 55, is checked in, and he's dunked on by Sean Miller right on cue.
We talk about chemistry, and UConn looks very fluid early, the combination of Hamilton and Miller up front.
The defensive pressure, it goes off Maine back to Connecticut.
Well, Daniel Hamilton was second on the team in assists, just barely behind Ryan Boatwright a year ago. And in order to make assists and make good plays, you have to have other guys you have confidence in at the rim. And Sean Miller, that's the advantage of having two fifth-year players. I mean, these guys know how to make plays. And Kevin Ollie talked about today a little bit that these fifth-year guys are ready for game action. They're tired of practice. They're ready to go.
Daniel Hamilton has taken a seat. Omar Calhoun in for the first time, and there's Rodney Purvis. And boy, what a terrific shooting stroke. Rodney Purvis had 9 really big-time games at the end of last year. Question was he going to carry it over into this season? And so far, he's looked very good.
He's played with not a lot of confidence early in the year. They had some injury issues, but at the end of the year, almost single-handedly led them to the NCAA tournament. I think he's going to be very comfortable right from the gate for Connecticut.
Adams, they saw the quickness, but he couldn't finish.
Well, that's where he'll get into the lab with Kevin Ollie. He talked about it today, just understanding when to go, when to slow, and that wasn't the right play for Adams. He didn't have the good angle to the rim.
Foul is on Rodney Purvis. That's his first, and the first on the Huskies. And you mentioned the officiating a moment ago, and you know, they are going to call the game tighter. They know there are going to be growing pains as they do so. The question is, as the season unfolds, will they continue to keep the storyline what they want it to be?
They say so. We'll see. They've got Bob Huggins on one end and Mike Krzyzewski on the other end, both barking at him for calling 15 fouls in the first half. We'll see if that continues.
Beal loses it, and Connecticut comes out with it. Purvis, beautiful feed to Facey, but he cannot hang on. Stojakovic out of control. Calhoun, though, bails him out. His first personal, second on the Huskies.
Well, the referees are human as well, Gary, and we all know that it's a combination of a lot of things. The change has to happen, but they have to have support from their league commissioners and their league supervisors because the pressure will be on. The big time coaches did a lot of complaining over the last 2 years about the way the game was called when the officials were trying to call it the correct way. And then, of course, the media jumps in. The TV commentators start moaning and groaning about too many fouls called, and then the change you go back to the old way. So we'll see how it all evolves.
Jeez, all those years you on the sideline, I don't think I ever saw you once complain. Things a little bit sloppy. There's Adams spotting. Sterling Gibbs, the freshman, to the transfer.
Well, Maine has come out with a lot of energy, but they just have to take better care of the ball, especially in those situations where they have an opportunity to run the ball up the court. They just need better spacing because UConn is everywhere.
Sterling Gibbs, his first bucket. Soft touch inside, will not go down for Eke.
Well, you have to be aware of where UConn is at all times, not only in half-court running your offense, but just loose passes even on the outlet. After an opportunity in transition, they will come and they'll be on the attack. Kevin Ollie has got this team very hungry defensively. They're going to extend and pressure and try to create turnovers because they have so many athletes that can finish.
Maine has turned it over 4 times, Connecticut twice so far. There's another example right there as the touch foul is called, as you cannot impede progress of the offensive players. We get a look at some of the new rules. The shot clock has been reduced to 30 seconds. Coach cannot call a timeout when the ball is alive anymore. They've moved the restricted area out a foot. The 5-second closely guarded rule, that is out, and the arm bar is allowed now for the big men. Down on the low block, it can stay there as Troy Reed-Knight buries one from beyond the arc.
I think all those rules are great, and they will be enforced. There's no question about that. But the gray area rules are the freedom of movement. You know, just that last play, the drive in is a little contact on the perimeter, or a man cuts through the lane without the ball and he's bumped a little bit. Are they going to call that? Are they going to take that away from the defense? And let's hope they do. We'd like to see more a free-flowing offense.
12 minutes, 24 seconds to go here in this opening half. Connecticut leading Maine 16-11, opening night of the college basketball season. Foul is called on Troy Reed-Knight. That is the first on Knight.
Maine's come out very feisty, Gary. You know, they've made a few mistakes and they've taken the ball to Brima a couple times, but they are not backing down from Connecticut, and they're much improved defensively this year than they were a year ago.
Gibbs, Calhoun, Brima, Hamilton, and Jalen Adams on the court for Kevin Ollie. And there's Gibbs, and that is a very sweet stroke. He was all Big East second team a year ago.
Good recognition by Connecticut. Maine playing a little bit too soft on the weak side.
Circus move inside. And Isaac Van, the freshman out of Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Well, a
chance at a three-point play.
Well, Isaac Van is a terrific-looking freshman for Maine, and Bob Walsh just beams when he talks about Isaac Van. Almost a steal for Maine because he was recruited by some pretty good level schools that are in the mid-major level, and Maine hung around with him, and he's done very, very well in the 2 exhibition games, and you can see why. He's very good going to the rim, a good athlete who can play both forward positions.
Well, Bob Walsh telling us he's a slasher, likes to get into the open floor, can create off the dribble, which we saw right there. Sterling Gibbs tacking the bucket, kissing in off the window. Sterling Gibbs, who averaged 16 points a season ago, showing his wares here in his first game with the Huskies.
Knocks a 3 down from the 2-guard spot and attacks from the point.
Sterling Gibbs has 7 points for the Huskies and doing it in a variety of ways.
Well, Daniel Hamilton finding the open man, that's easy money in the corner for Sterling Gibbs. And then on the attack, this is where he's at his best. Gets to the free throw line and also can finish at the rim.
100th meeting between Connecticut and Maine. Let's welcome in the third member of our broadcast crew. It's Kareth Burke. Her report is brought to you by Sam Adams. Good to have you with us, Kareth.
Thank you, Gary. I want to tell you guys about the promising freshmen, Jalen Adams and then Steven Enoch. Kevin Ollie wanted to make sure their learning curve as freshmen goes a little smoother, so he paired them up with upperclassmen mentors. So you've got the captain, Amita Brima, working with Enoch, and then Sterling Gibbs has Adams under his wing. And Adam told me before the game, Gibbs has really helped him through that point guard position, how to read the defense, how to come off screens with authority. And then there's also the student athlete component. Gibbs was teaching Adams how to handle his course load, how to study well, how to make best use of his time. And you got to remember, Gibbs is a grad student. He's new to UConn too, but he's 22 years old. He's had successful seasons and his major already taken care of at Seton Hall. And when it comes to that mentorship, the coaches are really pleased with the maturity that Gibbs brings to the team to really help everybody. Gary?
Well, thank you, Kareth. And Gibbs in his third system. Don't forget, he began at Texas under Rick Barnes and then at Seton Hall, and now his third program at Connecticut as Brima goes up for the alley-oop that's knocked away. This is Bernstein, the walk-on into the game for the Maine Black Bears.
Nice play by Garrett Beal. He showed it, but he recovered and kept his body and kept close enough to Brima to prevent the lob.
Corner three by Troy Reed-Knight is well short. Connecticut shooting 69% so far as we're coming up on 10 minutes and 50 seconds to go here in this first half. And what a move off the dribble. There's the sophomore right there, Daniel Hamilton. He's got 5 points.
Well, that's solid defense, but that is a big-time offensive player because Hamilton had a little bit of room, not much, but made something out of nothing at the rim.
Bernstein going into the land of the Giants, and that's a wild shot that goes over the backboard by Divine Eke. Let's get a look at tonight's drive of the game. It's presented by Chevrolet, and it is Daniel Hamilton.
Really good off the bounce and doesn't find much room, but a small angle to the rim and the extension, the ability to be under total control to finish.
Sam Cassell, number 10, is into the game for Connecticut. The foul is called on Kevin Little. That's going to be his second of the game, the sixth on the Black Bears.
Well, that's what Bob is telling Kevin Little. You can't touch him. You cannot hand check or have long contact on an offensive player. You can just put your hand on him a little bit, but if you impede his progress as he's trying to drive by you, you've got to play with your feet and not your hands.
Kids, what a beautiful move, spotting Hamilton on the wing. Boy, he is really, really quick off the bounce. Miller skies up, can't save it. But that's what Kevin Ollie loves about Sean Miller, his ability to go get the basketball.
Well, that's where he's at his best, from the free throw line and the baseline in, and you just watch the extension over the top. He doesn't come up with the ball here, but you better put a body and a half on Sean Miller if you want to secure the rebound.
That's Garrett Beal, and he has it rejected away by Miller.
Well, Miller is a man. There's no learning curve for Sean Miller. I mean, he's played in the Ivy League, one of the best players at Cornell, but also a guy who just understands how to play multiple positions. At times last year at Cornell, when he floated on the perimeter, that's when he showed some weaknesses, but when he plays on the baseline, he is really good.
Gloger can't finish, and Miller comes away with it. Now Gibbs throws it behind Brime, a little bit too fancy on the pass.
Well, you have to know who you're throwing it to. I mean, he's not throwing it to Daniel Hamilton or Sean Miller. When you're throwing it to a 7-footer that close, going that fast is very tough. He'd be better served to pitch it up on the rim like Daniel Hamilton does to Brima. And that's a learning curve as well, Gary. Understanding your teammates and what they can do best.
Sam Cassell Jr. coming away with the errant pass, quick hands. And that's exactly right on cue. Tim Welch putting it up there is Hamilton for Bryma.
Well, that's when you throw it to Bryma, where it's just a tap-in birdie putt, Gary, like you have at Winged Foot. Just an easy gimme at the rim.
That's an offensive foul on Troy Reed Knight as the quick feed by Cassell.
Well, this is knowing how to pass the ball and finding a man who can deliver at the rim. And this is how Mita Bryma had 40 a year ago against Coppin State. Just high percentage at its best.
Mita Bryma takes a seat, as does Rodney Purvis. Daniel Hamilton has 5 assists already, along with his 5 points. When you look at him, Tim, he just looks like a pro.
There's no question about it. And the thing that jumps out at me and early is just his ability to ball handle. He looks much smoother as a guy off the dribble, much more confident of who he is as a player. I think a year ago he came in, he didn't know if he was a perimeter guy, a baseline guy. Now I think he just is playing. And Kevin talks about positionless basketball, and that's where Daniel Hamilton really comes into play, because he can come out and really run the point at times after they get into their offensive flow and allow the shooters like Gibbs, or the scorers like Gibbs and Purvis, to move down to the baseline to attack the rim.
Stojakovic called on the foul, made us over the limit, and so Sam Cassell to the free throw line. Shot 80% from the free throw line a season ago. Missed much of the second half with a stress fracture in his lower leg.
He looks to be in better shape this year as well. He doesn't have that little pooch right above the waistline. He came back ready to play for Connecticut.
Huskies on an 8-0 run over the last 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Isaac Vann attacking, drawing contact. He's going to go to the free throw line.
Well, that's where Sam Cassell has to become a better player, and this will determine how many minutes he plays for Connecticut. People talk about the rotation and who will play in that 8th, 9th player will be Omar Calhoun, will be Sam Cassell. But defense is definitely a liability for Sam Cassell. If he wants to stay on the floor, get quality minutes, he's got to do a better job moving his feet.
Well, as we were speaking to Kevin Ollie this morning, and I asked him, are you going to play 11 guys? Will it be a big rotation? He said, I have the ball available, but the trick is going to be try to get that down, get a more cohesive, shorter bench.
Well, you know, it's nice to have that ability, because as a season ebbs and flows, there's always injuries and situations you have to deal with throughout different games. You just have to make sure your top 6 are ready, and then find out who your 7, 8, 9 is, and get them into a flow and feeling good about playing with your starters.
Rodney Purvis delivering off the bounce. Purvis now with 7 points for the Huskies. Stojakovic got bailed out. Hamilton reaching from behind. So the Connecticut Huskies lead the Maine Black Bears 29-16, just under 8 minutes to go in this first half. Ben's part of the SNY.TV blog network. Gary Apple back alongside Tim Welch as we get a look into the capacity crowd here at Gamble Pavilion and the UConn Huskies women's team. Sanaya Chong, she sees herself, and there's Brianna Stewart. Man, what a player she is. She helped lead Connecticut to 3 consecutive national championships and 10 overall for Gino.
Gary, I haven't dove into my UConn women's Husky study yet, but how are they going to be?
Oh, they're going to be quite good. Okay. Out of the break, Adams handing it to Rodney Purvis, and it's going to be called on the ground before the shot, before the dish off. You know, there's something about that Gino Auriemma. He knows how to win basketball games.
He's got enough trophies that they can put one on display at his restaurant. They don't have enough room in the trophy case in Connecticut for all his national championships, and we saw it at lunch today. He's got one of his national championship trophies on display.
Not
to give him any free publicity for his Italian, for his pasta restaurant.
He has earned it. I mean, he is the most prolific women's coach in history, and quite frankly, one of the most prolific coaches, period, in the history of basketball.
It was just nice of him to accept his name on the bill today. We just signed the bill over to him, and away we went.
Would have liked to have seen his reaction if we actually did that.
Well, the great thing about both programs is they work so well together in recruiting, and they've got the sparkling new practice facility next door. And you know, they've changed conferences, and they haven't skipped a beat, either program.
Brima working inside the offensive rebound. There's where Amita Brima is so dangerous, so active on the offensive glass. He's got 6 points now.
Well, that was a concern a year ago, not only for Brima, but just as a team. And, you know, they only averaged 64 points a game. One of their issues was they were only +1 on the season as a rebounding team. And UConn, for years, has been the top, not only shot blocking teams in the country, but rebounding teams. And this year they'll be improved with Miller, but they need a better backboard presence from Brima as well.
UConn showing 2-2-1 full court pressure. How much of that is looking just to shorten the shot clock now that it's down to 30?
Well, I think a lot of it is that, but also they have the athletes to get out and overplay a little bit because they can gamble with the shot blocker in the middle with Brima.
There's Till Gloger. He's got 4 points now. The soft baby hook. Purvis trying to put it up there for Brima, but threw it behind him and out of bounds.
Well, everyone thinks that pass is so easy because you just throw it up on the rim and Brima will just go get it and flush it. But you've got to have a precision passer, and that's what Daniel Hamilton's perfected that in a year plus here with Brima around the rim.
Brima rejects another, and here comes Purvis breaking out, and he loses it, and it's going back the other way.
The energy of Brima is just contagious and plays with a smile and good footwork, the lateral quickness, the extension, and the timing at the rim.
Amita Brima has 5 blocks now. His career high is 8 against Tulane. February 17th last season. Shot clock at 10 now. Really nice up fake, but no chance at the rim for Gloger. Too much height on the Connecticut side. Oh my! Sean Miller coming flying in, and man, was he above the rim. Holy cow, that brought the Campo Pavilion crowd to its feet.
Well, where do you put the stops on UConn's front line? If you stop Hamilton, you contest him, make him take a quick shot transition. Here the dribble handoff by Adams, the push point, but they've got you in transition, they've got you spread out there, they don't match up, and in comes the high-flying act, the fifth-year man who can finish at the rim. Just tough, quick shot, but Miller, no one puts a body on him, and that's because in transition, Adams created an angle to the rim, drew the defense in, and got Maine out of position on the weak side rebounding-wise. They did a good job of contesting on the perimeter, but never did match up with Miller.
Miller missed his junior year at Cornell with shoulder surgery, and Ivy rules, you only get the 4 years. You don't get that redshirt year, so had a year of eligibility left, and Kevin Ollie knew a gem when he saw one as Eke lets it fly. Stojkovic missing the bunny. Gibbs is hammered on the way to the bucket. Troy Reed-Knight called for the foul.
Well, you talk about the difficulty of defending transition rebounding, and Sean Miller, you don't even see him in the picture. He just comes flying in as the trailer. Maine really doing a good job of protecting the paint and getting out on the shooter to contest, and actually stopping Adams in transition. But usually you don't want your trailer to fly in like that when the point guard drives into the gap, because you have to have somebody back for backcourt balance. But you have a guy that can just go up above anyone else and retrieve the ball at the rim like that. You take chances, and that's what Miller did.
Omar Calhoun is checked into the game. Daniel Hamilton sits down. How much of what happened on that play was the fact that two guys were trying to keep Brima off the glass and a missed assignment on Miller?
Well, a lot of it was because it started with Jalen Adams, and that's what he will do for Connecticut. He's a push point who just attacks in transition, and he drew the two defenders and kicked out on the perimeter, and before Maine could rotate, everyone was turned out, and Miller turned in right at the rim.
Sterling Gibbs now with 9 points for Connecticut. He was 4th in scoring in the Big East a year ago, 5th in assists for Seton Hall. So he's a complete player. He can dish the basketball, he can score the basketball, and he can shoot it from long range.
And not only is Connecticut getting a better rhythm offensively, but defensively, they're starting to find their way and get out on the perimeter. Now you see there's one of the new rules, and the hand check on the perimeter.
Number 2 is Jalen Adams.
It's called on Jalen Adams. That is the first on Adams and the 7th on Connecticut. So Ryan Bernstein will go to the free throw line and shoot 1 and 1 as Connecticut is over the limit.
It's a total learning curve for everyone involved, and it's, you know, the NBA did this 6-8 years ago. They changed their way, and it took a couple years, painful years of. I remember the first 2 months, everyone said, "Oh, the NBA is just going to be totally ugly." But now you're talking about 30 teams and basically 80 officials. But in college basketball, you've got 350 plus teams and 800 officials. And so it's going to take a while for everyone to adjust to this, and especially when you call these fouls in the first few months of the season, and the fans are booing and the coaches have raised up their arms and say, "What is that?" Well, this is what you guys wanted. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves, but the defense on the perimeter certainly has to take a step back. You will not see people pressuring as much on the perimeter.
Divine Eka misses the front end of a 1 and 1, and we saw Miller go up again. He can rise off the floor. Calhoun the floater, and that's rejected by Eka. Little pulling up and buries the 3 in transition.
Better team defense by Maine this year. A year ago, that was their main weakness, giving up 75 points a game. But they have better athletes this year. Isaac Van and Eke, there gives them some quality forwards up front that Maine can pressure on the perimeter a little bit with Little and Calixte, and then have some guys on the forward spot that can make up for mistakes. And I think that's what you'll see. The big improvement in Maine and the American East is that they will defend a lot better.
6 points for Kevin Little. He averaged 12.5 a season ago. He was named to the America East All-Rookie team last season as Sterling Gibbs goes back to the free throw line. Gibbs 3 of 3 from the line so far tonight.
UConn men's hockey team returns home to the XL Center on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Huskies taking on Quinnipiac at 7 p.m. Get your tickets by visiting
Bob Walsh looking to talk things over for a moment. He knows his team is undersized and outmanned. When you're in that sort of a situation, Tim, how do you try to keep a big team like Connecticut in check?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is make sure you take quality shots, because if you take quick shots, they're so dominated on the backboards that they're going to get out and run out and get easy baskets in transition. So you're going to make them work on defense, and that not only means taking quality shots, taking care of the basketball. I think they've done a pretty good job of it. The only thing that I would say that they're not doing a good job is they're taking a little bit too deep into the paint. They have to make that extra pass. They have some guys that can make plays on the wing and on the perimeter, but they've got to make that extra pass. But it's easier said than done. You drive in and all these long athletes are flying at you, but they'll make some adjustments, I'm sure. I think they're playing pretty tough right now. Obviously, they're undermanned, especially in size, but I like their spunk out there on the floor so far tonight.
Sterling Gibbs, first player in double figures tonight. He's got 11 to lead Connecticut. Foul is called on Sean Miller. He thought he made a clean steal, but that's going to be his second personal and the 9th team foul on the Huskies.
Here you get a little bit of an early look at UConn and their smaller lineup, with Sean Miller now playing the 5, Daniel Hamilton at the 4, and then the 3 guards with Gibbs, Casal, and Calhoun kind of playing that combo guard forward spot. And you'll see Kevin Ollie experiment with this early in the season. He really likes Sean Miller at the 5 and Hamilton at the 4. They're very dangerous offensively, skilled, but defensively Miller can guard 5s as well.
Calhoun playing through a lot of physicality. He's going to go to the free throw line and shoot 2 as the foul is on Stojakovic.
First personal.
Coming up, get all your first half highlights and analysis, plus find out something UConn is looking to do that hasn't been done since back in 1985 on the UConn men's basketball halftime show. It's presented by Cadillac.
Going into UConn number 13, Stephen Enoch. Number 32.
Well, getting our first look at the freshman Stephen Enoch, who replaces Sean Miller. In the outset, I mentioned just how big and strong this young man is.
Well, everyone at UConn just raves about him, and the first word they use is that he's a sponge, and he's very intelligent on the floor. He just wants to come in every day and get better, and he's playing behind Brima, but Brima's tutoring him on a day-to-day basis, and I think UConn fans are going to like what they see from the young freshman.
Connecticut leads at 40-21, under 4 minutes to go here in this first half. Quick first step to the bucket by Kevin Little, but it's knocked away. But Sean Miller, certainly the highlight of this first half. He is every bit the high flyer he was advertised to be.
He plays a lot on a lot of different spots on the floor, but his main spot is in the baseline and in the paint and at the rim. Attack!
Well, it's been all Connecticut, Kevin Ollie's squad in this first half as they lead at 40-21. You know, Kevin spoke with us earlier today about the fact he wants this to be a better offensive team, to get out and run, get easier baskets this season.
But when you add 2 basically 1,000-point scorers that are fifth-year players that have proven themselves at the Division I level to what they have coming back, I mean, they have a lot of options. They can play a lot of different ways. They don't have to rely on one guy having a big night, but I really believe just from watching him here in the first half that Daniel Hamilton is going to be the key to this team. He looks outstanding.
There's Stephen Enoch keeping it alive, and he's fouled by Gloger.
Not sure how Gloger comes up with that foul. I don't know where the foul was. It was just a scrum in the middle of the floor. And one thing is you're not supposed to move people off the ball, but that's a call I don't think Bob Walsh agrees with.
Enoch missing his first free throw attempt. Gatorade Connecticut Boys Basketball Player of the Year. As a senior, and you know, he was a late bloomer, Tim, in high school. But Kevin was telling us this morning as he misses the second as well, they were on him early on, not just after he started to blossom and others caught on just how talented he was.
Well, one of the things in UConn we'll talk about, I'm sure, in the second half of today, an outstanding recruiting class. They signed 4 really good players for next year, but their staff really does a nice job by identifying people early, and Kevin Ollie, one of the best head coaches at recruiting, getting out there and being very involved with it.
Kevin Little hitting his third three-pointer of this first half. He leads Maine. He's got 9 points. Sterling Gibbs back for Connecticut. It rims out. Little dipping under, kissing off the window.
Little was terrific a year ago for Maine and just taking off and looking like he's going to be the offensive leader, just playing with a lot of composure, energy, and confidence at the rim.
He's coming back from a concussion, but we've seen no ill effects of it so far. Hamilton setting up Calhoun, who is off the mark again. If he's going to see significant playing time, he needs to make those shots.
Well, I mean, giving a little bit too much help. Calhoun had his feet set. That's his spot, too, in the corner. He's looked good in the preseason up for Connecticut. They're very happy with him. He's healthy for the first time in a long time.
Stojakovic called for the travel.
You can just see that Bob Walsh really likes Stojakovic just because of the minutes he's given him tonight, and he's done a nice job defensively as well, using his length on the perimeter for a freshman.
2 minutes to go here in this first half. We're at Gamble Pavilion, sellout crowd, opening night of the college basketball season. Number 20, Connecticut, leading Maine 40-26. Purvis off the feed from Gibbs. Stojakovic keeps it alive. Second chance here on a second possession. Nice feed by Little, finding Gloger, and Gloger now with 6 points for the Black Bears.
Well, that's what Maine wasn't doing earlier in the game. They were taking, Little was taking, the Maine guards were taking the ball into the rim and taking and try to shooting over Brima. Now they drew Brima to the ball and made that extra pass, stepped in. That's where UConn has to do a better job on the backside of rotating down and helping out the shot blocker, Brima, when he rotates over to the ball.
Rebounding is such a big issue for Kevin Ollie. He needs Brima to get more active, and you know, you'll look at the fact that Connecticut is so much bigger than Maine, but the rebounding in this first half, each team with 19.
You know, Connecticut, again, they really have to focus on being a better rebounding team for the long haul this year. And you know, they're going to try to outscore people. They want to run up and down the floor. But defensively, I don't think Kevin Ollie right now is very happy on the perimeter. Some of his guards have been beaten off the dribble, and Kevin Little right now is having his way on the perimeter.
Aaron Calixte, number 1, is checked in for Maine. Daniel Hamilton around the rim and in. He's got 7.
Well, that's his go-to move. The little drive with the dribble drive with the left, and then the spin back, under control, medium, little jump hook, teardrop with the right.
Does he look more confident off the bounce to you this year?
Confident, composed. He looks like, I am going to be the man.
Along the baseline, Stojakovic using his body and the window to finish.
That's a nice move by Stojakovic. Took Hamilton off the bounce. Hamilton gave up way too much baseline on that drive.
6'7" freshman from Serbia. He's got those 5 points. Hamilton straight away off the back iron.
UConn possession.
We certainly have not seen a difference in going from 35 seconds to 30 with these two teams tonight. I mean, they are coming down and they're running. Both teams are running pretty good, solid offense. They're sharing the ball and moving the ball from side to side, but then they attack. And you know, give Maine a lot of credit. I mean, they came into this game only 3 wins a year ago, but they came here to play tonight. They're not afraid or not backing down from Connecticut.
Maine is on a 9-2 run over the last 2 minutes and 24 seconds to get this back within a very manageable 12 points. Final 25 seconds of this first half. Shot clock is turned off. Connecticut can take the last shot. And as you can see here, there's no 5-second count here. That is a rule that has been done away with.
Well, Calixte's got to be careful. He's playing a little bit too tight on Gibbs.
Sam Cassell can't get it to go. There's Purvis gliding in, and he misses off the back iron. And the first half has come to an end with Connecticut up by a dozen. They shot 53% in the first half, Tim.
Well, Connecticut came out of the gates raring to go, not only on the offensive end, but defensively. They just attacked at the rim, preventing Maine getting any easy looks. But Maine kind of settled into this game and understood that the shot blocker was protecting. They had to make a couple extra plays, and they're hanging around. And Connecticut kind of a little sloppy on the offensive end the last 4 or 5 minutes of this game.
UConn shot at just 1 of 9 to end the half. Maine 0-19 under Bob Walsh, trailing at the half. Certainly that does not bode well for them. And so the Huskies lead it by a dozen. Michelle Yu, Vin Parisi, Tariq Turner standing by in our New York studios. They'll have the halftime show following a break. We get a look at halftime stats presented by Connecticut Lighting Centers. UConn led by as many as 19 in the first half. It is now a dozen. They shot 50% and barely out-rebounded Maine just by 1 at 21-20. Let's send it over to Karen Burke. She's with assistant coach Glenn Miller. It's brought to you by Sam Adams.
Well, Glenn, UConn's style of play promised to be fast-paced and sharing the ball. What did you see in the first half?
Well, at the end of the half, we allowed too much penetration, too many offensive rebounds, and it hurt us. And offensively, we were 3 for 14 from 3. We've got to take the ball to the rim and get to the foul line. We were in a double bonus for a while and didn't finish off the half. So,
when it comes to rebounding, Maine was staying right there with UConn. What did you ask the players to do to get the edge back there?
Well, 11 offensive rebounds. Some of those came off of Amita block shots, but we can't allow those offensive rebounds and second chance points. They had 11 second chance points.
All right, Glenn, thank you very much. And Gary, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Kareth and Glenn, thank you both. Gary Apple back alongside Tim Welsh. Question was, when we came on the air, who's the alpha dog going to be? Daniel Hamilton, pretty good in that first half.
He controlled the game on both ends of the floor, especially offensively. Playing a point forward type position, just doing it all. I mean, very good off the bounce, can knock down shots. Better ability this year just to understand his presence on the floor, playing with a better pace. Can take the ball inside and deliver at the rim. Also can make plays for himself off the bounce, but very unselfish and fitting in very smoothly and nicely early and often with his new forward mate, Sean Miller, and of course throwing those little lobs at the rim to Brima, which we saw a lot last year.
Daniel Hamilton averaged about 11 points and 7.5 rebounds a season ago. As we're underway here in the second half. There's Little backdoor, and again, Brima says, please do not bring that into my house.
Well, a little special play out of the locker room. Bob Walsh drew this up, but when you draw up a play, sometimes you forget that there's a guy who will come over and can protect as good as anybody in America. But Maine continues to attack and beat Connecticut off the bounce.
6 blocked shots now in the game for Amita Brima. There's a travel on Gloger.
Well, Bob Walsh wanted a foul on Brima. He said the arm bar was on Gloger, which you can put an arm bar on the offensive player if his back is to the basket, but that time Gloger faced up and Brima fouled him on the baseline.
Off the alley-oop, Sterling Gibbs putting it up there for Amita Brima, who now has 8 points.
Well, teams will have to understand when you game plan for Connecticut that you cannot lose sight of Amita Brima. I mean, when the ball comes into the paint, you cannot overhelp. You must make the player with the ball make a solid play to the rim and not leave Brima loose and find an angle up above the rim.
Stojkovic trying to drive on Miller, kicking it back onto the left side. Calixte off the iron. Boy, Daniel Hamilton, is it fair to say he has qualities of a point forward?
Oh, that's what he is. I mean, there's no question about it. And that's why Kevin Ollie likes him at the 4 spot and Miller at the 5, because they're off. They really are dangerous offensively. They can kind of play positionless basketball. And even on that last rebound, you just see the ability of Sean Miller to go get rebounds out of his area. And you cannot teach that, and especially a guy with that strength and that ability to find an angle. And you know, this year, another point of emphasis, a rule change, is that you cannot displace people when you block them out. So you're not going to see a mosh pit in the lane when guys go up for rebounds. I mean, you're going to see more cleaner rebounding, and that's where Sean Miller really can flourish.
Amita Brima, 65% free throw shooter a season ago, knocks them both down his first 2 of the season. He's in double figures now. He's got 10 points. Little, not bashful. Wide open, Sterling Gibbs.
UConn continues to push the pace. They run a numbered break. They just run to spots on the floor and attack.
Connecticut just 3 of 15 from beyond the arc. Kevin Ollie telling us this morning we need guys to shoot it. They were not a great deep shooting team a season ago.
But Glenn Miller made a great point at halftime. I mean, if that's not there, they've got to do that.
Well, there's Brima again. And Bob Walsh wants to talk it over. And it's not just Brima above the rim, but it's the ability to find him and create off the dribble.
Space the floor, share the ball, change sides of the floor, attack, and finish at the rim.
A look at the Worth Center right across the street from Gampel Pavilion. Tim Welsh, it's one of, if not the best, practice facility in America.
As good as I've seen, and it continues just to bring in quality players, both the men and women. UConn had a sparkling, tremendous recruiting class announced today, and Kevin Ollie, they haven't skipped the beat, and everyone wondered, the transition from the Big East to the American Conference, an unknown, but American Conference established now in year 3, and UConn just has found their niche, not only in recruiting, but they've got a terrific team this
Shot
season.
clock at 15. There's Little. Gets tied up. Very quick on the jump ball.
UConn possession.
And the ball goes back over to Connecticut via the arrow.
Maine, number 55.
I'm not sure how that was a jump ball, but we'll give the officials the benefit of the doubt. It's opening night for them.
Yes, it is.
They're trying to warm up, get in rhythm, find their chemistry.
Calixte takes a seat for Maine, and Garrett Beal, the junior from Beals Island, Maine, checking in. Connecticut has scored the opening 6 points of this second half. They led by a dozen at the break. It's 18 with 17 minutes and 30 seconds to go in this second half. Sean Miller trying for the acrobatic shot, and he's hammered, going to shoot 2 as the foul is on Garrett Beal.
Daniel Hamilton is just such a tough guard, because you know what he's going to do. He's going to ball fake. He's going to take it on the perimeter off the bounce with his left hand, but he's so under control. He has that length and that ability to spin in traffic, which makes him so hard to defend, and then he can pinpoint pass off the bounce right to the rim.
Sean Miller with 7 points now for Connecticut. Season ago at Cornell, he averaged just under 17 points and about 8.5 rebounds per game. Kevin Ollie was saying to us this morning that he is, in some ways, DeAndre Daniels-esque.
Well, he is, and DeAndre Daniels is a better three-point shooter than Sean Miller is, and Sean Miller has that ability to knock down threes. And at times last year at Cornell, he did float on the perimeter too much, which is one of his weaknesses. But when he's playing on the baseline and attacking, he's dangerous.
Now there's Hamilton again, spotting Amina Brima, who rises up and sends it in. UConn has opened the lead now to 21.
Connecticut doing a very good job of attacking the basketball and their rotations. 5-as-1 defensively in half court.
Boy, tremendous defensive pressure.
You must handle the ball. If you over-penetrate, over-dribble against Connecticut, they will swarm and come and go and attack the rim. And their transition tonight is as good as it gets. This brings back memories of some of their best fast-breaking teams.
UConn on a 9-0 run in the last 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Wholesale changes now for Maine, as they bring Troy Reed-Knight into the game along with Bernstein and Eke. Sterling Gibbs hanging in the air and just contorting his body.
A little change of decision. He was looking for Brima at the rim. He said, I'm going to throw the lob, and Brima didn't move, so he said, I'll fire it up and take my chances at the rim.
He's got 13 points. As Eke is hit by Amina Brima. That's the second personal on Brima.
Well, the forgotten offensive weapon. Amina Brima doesn't really have to be a guy that can make mid-range shots or even low-post moves. If he just reads the offense and reads the defense, reads his player with the ball. When Hamilton and Gibbs and company drive into the lane, he just does a nice job of just watching his man. And as soon as his man turns his head, he goes right to the rim and is ready to attack and finish.
Divine Eke, the freshman from Plainfield, New Jersey, not even close on the second free throw. Gibbs drawing contact, kissing in off the window, and a chance at a conventional three-point play as Gibbs now has 15 points, and you can see that body control.
Well, the body control and also the toughness, reminiscent of his brother Ashton. former great Pittsburgh player who's in the stands tonight. Just the ability to get into the rim and get to the rim and finish. And a year ago, shot 137 free throws for Seton Hall. And so he is a toughness type, old school type guy who's not afraid to stick his nose into the play.
Connecticut has opened the lead to 25. Eke trying to shoot it over Brima. I'm not sure that's the best decision.
A little too quick and a little unfortunate for Maine, because that's what happens when you take quick, ill-advised shots.
And Brima trying to catch up on the play is called for the foul, but never giving up. On the defensive end is Amita Brima.
Well, the defense has been special for Connecticut, especially in the second half. They've locked down on the perimeter, and then in transition, so unselfish and aware, even early in the season, of each other's presence.
UConn Huskies, they've opened the lead over Maine to 58-31 with 15 minutes and 32 seconds to go here in the second half. Here's tonight's UConn trivia question presented by Mercedes-Benz, the only two UConn men's basketball players with 22,000 plus career points. The answer coming up just a little bit. Divine Eke going to the free throw line to shoot two.
Love the energy of Amita Brima here in the transition. He was trailing the play, but just attacked from behind, and his presence is known everywhere on both ends of the floor tonight. I have to really appreciate the unselfish play of UConn as well, just making that extra pass and constantly looking for Brima moving behind the defense.
Maine is now just 4 of 10 from the free throw line. Brima has 8 block shots, and that ties his career high that he set against Tulane last season. Jalen Adams splitting defenders, but can't hang on, and there's Eke in the open court. And finishing at the rim.
Extending the pressure, a little 2-2-1, doing some trapping and attack.
Oh, Sterling Gibbs putting it up for Sean Miller. And Miller now in double figures. He's got 11 points.
It's very professional of you, Gary, not to say that was Amita Brima, because that looked like Amita Brima. That was his move at the rim. But Miller also the ability to rise up.
Not even close by Bernstein. And the crowd here at Gamble letting him know it as Hamilton is bumped on the way to the bucket.
I mean, when you have guys that can not only drive and deliver, but finish at the rim like this, you don't need offensive plays. You don't need a playbook. You just need guys to create, space the floor, and attack. And that has been Connecticut's absolute best offense tonight. Just drive into the gap, draw the defense, and throw it up to the rim.
Sterling Gibbs takes a seat as Sam Cassell Jr. checks back in. Gibbs has 16 points to lead the way for Connecticut in his first game as a member of the Huskies. But you see the maturity that he brings and that Sean Miller brings. It's Jalen Adams, the freshman, takes a nice fit. They're getting easy looks at the bucket now.
Easy looks, and that will also make a guy like Jalen Adams improve on a daily basis. Not only just having the mentoring, but playing against these guys and playing with them and not having to really carry the load, but just kind of be a piece of the puzzle coming off the bench as an energetic freshman guard.
Gloger hammered, and he's going to go to the free throw line and shoot two.
Kevin Ollie expects a lot from his team defensively, and he really work on positioning and communication. And it's very difficult for a freshman to come in this early and be a presence defensively. You see Jalen Adams just not playing the proper angles defensively, and he's going to learn. He's going to get into the lab, as Kevin calls it, and continue to learn how to play the position defense. And I think that's why it's so important you have the two fifth-year guys, and Gibbs and Miller. They're coming from very good programs, good coaches, and Kevin Willard and Bill Courtney that understand how to play defense and teach their players how to play defense. So you got two new guys in the program that you don't have to break down every second and every part of the game to them. That helps your advancement early in the season.
UConn lane violation.
Gloger missing both free throws, but a lane violation on Jalen Adams. And so Gloger, who was a 78% free throw shooter a season ago, going to get one more shot as Connecticut is now on a 20-3 run over the last 5 minutes and 7 seconds to open this game up to a 29-point lead. Gloger now with 9 points for the Black Bears.
Gloger's improved. He'll be a good banger in the America East. He's kind of the most physical inside player. He'll be a piece of the puzzle.
Kenton Facey playing through contact, his first bucket of the game.
Almost a forgotten man, a man who started last year and came in off the bench.
Sean Miller looked like he might have gotten set, but he's called for the foul.
Number 12, Kenton Facey. First on Facey's 14th foul.
I take it back. The foul was on Kenton Facey.
The basket. Charging number 5, Devine Eke.
And now that is an offensive foul on Devine Eke.
Personal 16th foul.
Well, the great thing is that they've extended the arc inside the lane out to 4 feet, but the bad thing for the officials is that there's two arcs in there, so sometimes I think they will get confused early in the season.
Good block by Eke on Jalen Adams. Shot clock does not reset. It's at 10. Cassell working off the bounce. And there's Facey, active Tim on the offensive
Well,
glass.
Facey knows there's minutes out there that he has to go get because Phil Nolan's out with a foot injury tonight, but those backup forward spots, baseline spot minutes are going to be either with Facey or Nolan. They're not going to be able to play both of those guys.
Calhoun gets the swat, and Adams comes out of there with it. UConn looking to push again. Jalen Adams showing a very sweet stroke from beyond the arc.
Sweet stroke, Gary, but also unselfish play by Sam Cassell to dribble, drive in the gap, and look for the trailer.
Right down the lane is Little, cannot finish. 3 defenders coming over to alter the shot. Sean Miller, that is just under control and feathery on that mid-range jump shot.
He's got the back to the basket game. He's got the baseline attack game. He's got the high post game. And he's also got the physical game at the rim. Well, Kenton Facey can ignite from the bench, and in transition, he's a long athlete and who can finish at the rim. Good rebounder. And Jalen Adams, not known as a great three-point shooter, but improving. He's got a good-looking stroke. Energetic for UConn.
UConn Huskies, they've made 11 of their last 13 field goals to open this lead to 71-34 with just over 12 minutes to go in the second half, and it's just getting even better for Kevin Ollie. Look at the class that he's got coming in here for next season.
Well, when you look at Kevin Ollie and what he's done recruiting-wise, it's so impressive because you wondered where he was going to recruit, what level he was, changing conferences, but they have not skipped a beat, and Gilbert is one of the best players in the country. And not going to be fair. Gilbert and Adams in the backcourt, that will be speed plus.
Another long offensive rebound, Gloger. And it's rejected, swatted away by Kenton Facey as Steve Enoch is also into the game, the freshman. And as we said at the outset, he is a big body. He's reminiscent in a way, and not to compare them, but he reminds you a little bit of Andre Drummond.
He does, and Andre Drummond, we've seen what he's done so far this year in the NBA. And become an elite player, and But Enoch is a sponge. He's a guy who just comes in every day, wants to get better. He's got real good footwork in the paint, tremendous hands, good lateral quickness, can step out and shoot that mid-range jumper as well.
Rodney Purvis comes back in. Jalen Adams takes a seat. Dozen blocks in this game for Connecticut. They have owned the paint. Little, mid-range jump shot. That's a shot you've got to make, and he can't knock it down. UConn is outscoring Maine 29-4 so far in this second half as they've blown this game wide open. The freshman, Isaac Van, stays with it.
Well, UConn's done a better job, Gary, at the second half of just containing dribble penetration. At the end of the first half, Kevin Little and Maine's guards got a little bit loose. They got advantages in the paint, but not in the second half. Connecticut has put Maine on lockdown.
Omar Calhoun, his first 3 of the 2015-2016 season. That's what he needs to do. That's where he needs to be effective. Let's check in with Kareth Burke. She's got more on the transfer from North Carolina State in his second year here at Connecticut. Rodney Purvis.
Well, hey, Gary, I talked to the coaches to learn what Rodney Purvis is going to bring to this new season, and Kevin Ollie says Purvis is a more mature player. He's ready to show what kind of athlete he is because he's healthy. Remember, Purvis had that shoulder surgery. Before that, he had to sit out due to the transfer rules. Thought he was going to take it right there. And this season, Purvis is ready to be one of the focal points on offense. His passing has improved, and Ollie reminded Purvis that he doesn't have to be the Ryan Boatwright this season. He doesn't need to put up 25 shots, and that took some of the weight off Purvis's shoulders to share the ball more. And Purvis told me he wants to stay positive and he wants to find more consistency this season, and the coaches really see that happening. Gary?
Well, Rodney Purvis in double figures in 8 of Connecticut's last 9 games a season ago. Seemed to gain his traction, a little bit of confidence, and this is a young man who is explosive. He's got again, I spoke about Hamilton earlier, looking like a pro at times. Rodney Purvis has a pro body.
Well, just comparing him from 1 year ago today to now, just a better feel out there on the floor of who he is, what Kevin Ollie wants, and what this team needs. And I think that's just a carryover from the end of last year, where he just was a terrific player for Connecticut, had those great games against SMU, and really was terrific in the conference tournament as well. And you know, not only trying to be Ryan Boatwright, I think he was trying to be Shabazz Napier a year ago, and this year he's just himself, and he's playing with Gibbs, and knows how good Hamilton is. He's got the big guy up front and alongside of Miller, so he can just be another piece to the puzzle, but a very good piece.
Rodney Purvis did not like that call, but these are the sorts of plays that guys are going to have to get acclimated to with the changing of the rules and the fact that you can't put a hand on a guy.
Well, not only on the ball, but off the ball as well. You cannot chuck cutters. It's freedom of movement. That means when a man cuts, you cannot stop him with your body. You've got to stop him with your feet. You've got to move in front of him. Okay, you cannot bump him. You cannot chuck, and you cannot displace or have long contact on the offensive player, or a foul will be called.
Gloger missing the front end of a 1-and-1, and Maine is 5 of 13 from the free throw line. Enoch. Oh, is he strong? He gets hammered, can't finish through the contact, but it'll go back to the free throw line.
A nice recognition, though, by Enoch to roll into the rim and find that angle. And again, good pass by Calhoun. Just probably did not need that one dribble. If he just maybe used the pump fake first, he could have found an angle, a clean angle to the rim.
Enoch now 1 of 5 at the free throw line in his first game here at Connecticut. Go back to the, if you can, defensively, and they tried to clean it up a year ago as Enoch knocks down the second. Have they gotten more stringent? You can't certainly guide a player with your hand and try to guide him away from the basket. Have they gotten tougher on it? Are they trying to get tougher on it this year than last?
Absolutely. That's what their words will tell you, and all the videos and all the rhetoric, if you want to call it that. But you know, obviously the proof is in the pudding, and you'll see it early, I'm sure, as everyone's going to try to say we're going to put our thumb on it. But the difference is that it's now not a point of emphasis. It's an actual rule. It's in the rule book. So that's where the referees can be called out on it. And I think they will be. You know, there's been a change of leadership with as far as the NCAA officials go, and J.D. Collins is the new head of national officials, and you got guys like Curtis Shaw, who's head of the American Conference, and you know, a good veteran crew of ex-officials running the show. And then the Rules Committee has done a nice job from the coach's perspective as well, along with Art Hyland, longtime Big East supervisor official. So you have the right people running the show, and now it's just that the referees have to do it, and the coaches have to accept it as well. And I think that's a big part of it. I think, you know, Curtis Shaw talked about that at length, the Big 12 American Conference media days, that, you know, the coaches can't be publicly complaining about this in the middle of the conference season. You know, the big name coaches, the guys that we all know that carry a lot of weight in this game.
So let's go back and take a look at some of the notable changes. More than 30 rule changes this season. Let's go down to the bottom there, Tim. Arm bars allowed in the post when the offense has back to the basket with or without the ball. Now, a season ago, you could put the arm bar and then you had to move it. You can keep it there. Is that the case this year?
Right, and I think people say, well, wait a minute, arm bar, it makes it more physical action in the post defensively. But I think what was happening is when you had to release the arm bar, then you had like the body. You had the lower legs, the lower body, the hips, you know, the chest.
It was a mosh pit.
Exactly, going into and now I think it's more of a cleaner game, more trying to get towards more of a freedom of movement, kind of like the NBA game. We all know what the NBA game looks like. You don't see the pushing, the shoving, you watch an NBA game, you go to an NBA game, you don't see that. When a guy cuts through the lane, you don't see someone displacing him or chucking him. And I think that's more important. I think the rules itself, that you see the change of the rules, I don't think anybody's going to argue with those, and I don't think those will be called fine. But the actual freedom of movement, you know, how to set a screen. You know, you cannot move when you set a screen. Now, you must be set. Now, will that be called? Because you all see the moving screens or on a dribble handoff, people just getting plowed over when they screen. So the officials are supposed to call that. I think tonight, UConn and Maine both are not screening type teams. They're more dribble drive type teams. So as we get into the meat of college basketball, it'll be interesting to see, you know, if the officials stick with it.
Daniel Hamilton just back into the game. Off the front iron from beyond the arc. Connecticut 5 of 19 from downtown in the game. This is LeVar Harewood, freshman from Brooklyn. Handing to Bernstein, another New York product from the Bronx, goes in and out from Garrett Beal.
Now, Beal is known as a shooter, and that's what Maine needs. They're going to need him to knock down shots this year.
What a feed from Sterling Gibbs to Sean Miller. Maine graduate transfers getting together.
Good chemistry early. Everyone talks about the good chemistry on this team, and no one cares who scores. And you can see it's very evident that this team likes each other and understands how to play the game.
Cutting in off the wing, sending it in is Rodney Purvis. Rodney Purvis now with 9 points, and they're so athletic is this Connecticut team.
Well, the thing that they have such a positive when you have a guy like Hamilton that can get the rebound himself without an outlet and just push it in transition and just find people. And here Maine just does a poor job of identifying, and nobody picks up Miller. This is just way too easy. He just runs to the rim and nobody's near him. But in transition, that's the thing about Connecticut. They don't have position. They have positionless basketball. They just run to spots. If you're on the right side of the floor, you take the right side. And if Hamilton has the ball in the middle floor, he's going to run the point, and the point guards can run to the rim.
Sean Miller, a double-double in his first game for Connecticut. He's got 15 points and 10 rebounds. Till Gloger knocks down a pair for Maine. He's got 11 points now for the Black Bears, as Connecticut has opened a very large 80-37 lead. Gibbs lost it on the pass to Brima, but stayed right with it and finishes. Sterling Gibbs has 18 points. He is the leading scorer in the game.
Well, that's what Sterling Gibbs is known as. He's just a volume scorer. He's going to lead the team, run the point, be tough, but he's going to find a way to go get 17, 18 points every night.
Gibbs fouled on his way to the bucket on the floor as Connecticut leads at 82-37 with 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go here at Gamble Pavilion.
I think the main reason why I chose UConn is the lineage of guards that they've had from Kemba, Shabazz, Ryan Boatwright, even before then, Marcus Williams, Kevin Ollie. You have a bunch of guys that are similar size to myself and were successful in the system.
And Kevin Ollie pretty happy that he's got Sterling Gibbs and that Gibbs chose Connecticut, and Gibbs comes from a pretty good guard family. Don't forget his brother Ashton, all Big East first team at Pittsburgh. He's got a brother TJ at Notre Dame, a freshman. There's some pretty good athletic talent in the Gibbs family.
And one thing that you didn't hear from Sterling Gibbs, and I know he's talked about, is the importance of playing for a guy like Kevin Ollie, who will push you, who will take you in the lab and show you how to be a big-time point guard every day. And, you know, I think it's helped tremendously in the recruiting, is that people want to come play for this guy. They know that he's the real deal. He is true blue. He's not about himself. He's about the program, and he's about his players. And when you could play for a guy like that, it's very easy to go into some homes and say, you know, come play for me, because the proof is there. He's not full of it, and he's got playing career and the coaching career to back it up, and people want to come play for Kevin Ollie.
Troy Reed Knight too hard off the glass and off the back iron. We like. Oh, boy. Good feed from Hamilton. Brima stays with it. He's fouled. He's going to shoot two, but he takes away a potential highlight. We like Kevin Ollie a lot. I mean, he brings so much to this Connecticut program. The fact that he played here, he bleeds Husky blue, and, you know, his love for the program is certainly on display every time, and his passion for the program brings the NBA lineage. I cannot say enough about what Kevin Ollie has done here as he begins his 4th season as the head coach at Connecticut.
Well, you've seen in recent years that the trend in the NBA now is to go to the college ranks, and started with Brad Stevens, and most recently Billy Donovan and Fred Hoiberg, but they came calling to Kevin Ollie. He said, no, thank you. This is who I am. I am the coach at UConn. This is my dream job, and he backed it up with his words and his actions, and these kids know it. And this team, I think, is undervalued. This team is going to grow and grow throughout the season. I think this is a top 10 team.
Off the miss from Little. Here comes Purvis pushing the tempo again. And boy, Sean Miller, he is a highlight reel all to himself.
I don't know where you game plan to stop Connecticut, because they have so many answers, and they look razor sharp, not only in transition but in the half court as well, where they struggled a lot last year. And clearly, obviously, you know, Maine is overmatched, but you look at the flow of the game, and we had a lot of the games last year, Gary, and even in these type games, they struggled. They struggled for long periods of time to get into an offensive flow, to dominate defensively, to get out in transition, to share the ball, to just play the game the right way, as Kevin would say. And this is early in the season. They look in high gear.
Brima, another high percentage shot inside. He's got 18 points to go along with his 7 rebounds. Gloger back-to-back buckets inside over Brima. He's got a very soft touch. Gloger with 15. He's the senior out of Germany, 6 feet 8 inches, 220 pounds. Little putting it up for Eke, and Divine Eke, the freshman, sending it down.
Oh, good transition that time by Maine. They're still playing gritty and trying to hang in there, just building for the future. And I think they're an improved team in their conference. And obviously this is a overmatch for them, but they came in here and fought UConn, to say the least.
Garrett Beal off the up fake. Knocks down the 17-foot jumper. That's his first bucket of the game as we get another look at Sean Miller. He is a high flyer.
Well, Kevin Ollie early is made sure Sean Miller knows where his bread is buttered, and that's in the lane with the free throw line and in, and then the baseline. He has shown all positives in a lot of different aspects tonight.
Shooting 2.
Sean Miller with 17 and 10 rebounds. Let's get a look at our trivia answer presented by Mercedes-Benz. Only 2 UConn men's basketball players with at least 2,000 career points. Chris Smith, who went 2,145 back 1989 through 1992, and Richard Hamilton. Rip had 2,036 points back in the late 90s. And then went on, had a pretty good NBA career. Wholesale changes for Connecticut. Kenton Facey, one of them. Enoch, Calhoun, Jalen Adams, all have checked into the game. And Sam Cassell is going to replace Rodney Purvis. So again, wholesale changes. Whole new 5 on the court now for Connecticut with just over 5 minutes to go and a very comfortable 91-45 lead for the Huskies. Gloger trying to go to work on Enoch, and another Connecticut rejection. They've now got 15 blocks in the game. Omar Calhoun hit, going to shoot 2. The foul is on Kevin Little, his 3rd personal.
We'll talk, amongst the Connecticut insiders of, what Kevin was going to do with the point guard position, replacing Ryan Boatwright, and then you bring in Gibbs, and is Adams, how much is he going to give you? But you see early that Jalen Adams has a world of talent and will be a valuable player for Connecticut. But you just see the difference in understanding and maturity between a freshman and a 5th-year player, and Sterling Gibbs just coming out tonight, just controlling the game, but also Daniel Hamilton, the ability to play that point guard spot and allowing Sterling Gibbs to attack and get off the ball, where he's very, very good getting to the rim and creating for others from the wing position.
Foul is called on Stephen Enoch. That's his 2nd personal foul.
2nd personal foul.
Is it fair to say, Tim, the learning curve for a big in college basketball from high school to the college game could be the biggest amongst any position?
It is, because of the fact that you don't play against guys most of the time your size. I mean, in the AAU circuits, that's a little bit different, but and big guys develop later. I mean, they grow into their body. They have a better understanding of what to do and how to play at the big level, how to do other things besides just dunk the ball, how to play team defense. And that's why I've been so impressed with Brima, is that he's always seems to be in the right position, not only defensively but offensively, doing a great job of moving into that open gap as the ball drives into the lane and his man turns his head and gives some help.
Shot clock at 10, coming up on 4 minutes to go here in this 2nd half. Sam Cassell Jr. running out of room, but spotting Adams, who can't finish. Well, Facey really bailing out Isaac Venn, who was a little bit out of control. So the Connecticut Huskies, well on their way to their 1st win of the season. They lead it big. All right, Michelle, we look forward to that as we get a look at what has been a tough night for Bob Walsh. But, some of what Bob Walsh is showing us tonight, he learned from the guy sitting to my right. 7 years at your side at Providence, Tim.
I don't know how much he learned. He learned how to dress. I think that's about it under me. But he's a terrific young coach. He's not young anymore. He did a great job at Rhode Island College and always was, special for us. And you always judge a coach on what the players think about him and who's the first in the gym, the last out, and Bob was always the first in the gym. The one guy who would come in early, whether it's 6 in the morning to meet a player, to work him out extra. And That's evident by tonight. One of our great players, one of the greatest players ever at Providence, Ryan Gomes, has made the trip over here to support his old coach, and goes back to even the old Iona days, and the great Vin Parisi was with us back then. So we had some good young guns back in the day. Young guns always make the head coach look better.
Now, Lamar for Kenton Facey not going to count. There was a foul called on the floor on the drive to the bucket. Let's watch it again, though, as Calhoun tries to fight through contact.
Well, this is a play that UConn has perfected. It started a year ago with Daniel Hamilton to Brima, but it's turned into a UConn specialty, and I think we'll see more of it with Sean Miller as well. Just feeling his way and finding the defender, and that's something that is taught. You think that's just, well, just run to the rim and finish plays, but it's, you know, it's really something you have to work on, not only in 5-on-5, but in 2-on-2 and 3-on-3. As soon as your defender turns his head a little bit, you have to find that little angle behind the defender to the rim where not only you could finish, but the distributor can make that good, easy pass to the rim.
Under 3.5 minutes to go now in this second half, and there's the freshman, Isaac Van, drawing contact. He's going to head back to the free throw line.
Third personal.
Well, last time that Maine beat Connecticut all the way back in 1978. I don't think that's going to happen again tonight. The 100th time these two teams have played. This series began back during the 1921-22 season, so they've been playing for a long time.
It was back in the day where UConn actually went to Maine, believe it or not, and if Bob could get that to happen, it would really be a miracle. But listen, hey, he's trying to obviously build a program with his way by bringing in all these freshmen. I think watching him a lot last year just as a friend of Bob's and understanding what he's trying to do up there. And they're much improved. I like their freshmen. They're going to be, they may not show a lot in their conference because their league is very good. The American East returns 9 of their top 12 players as far as all league and scores go, and it's a very good league with Albany and Stony Brook and Vermont and New Hampshire. But as the future unfolds, I think Maine will be a player in the America East.
That is a very sweet move by LeVar Harewood as he scores off the window inside. He's got 3 points now. When it comes to Connecticut, as we come up on the 2.5-minute mark, what has impressed you most about the Huskies?
Just their flow offensively, their ability to space the floor, play with good continuity, unselfishness, make the extra pass, really look for each other. Nobody dominating the ball. Even though Hamilton dominates it, but Kevin I wants him to dominate. He's not dominating for himself. He's looking to create for others, and he is a very, very tough out. And I don't know how you match up with him, especially when they start putting him as a point forward, and then they attack with their scorers, Gibbs and Purvis on the wing, and then they have Miller up front. And a much improved Amita Brima, just a guy who's playing a lot more confidence out there on the floor. And listen, we all understand that Maine is not Michigan or SMU or Syracuse or Texas or some of these teams that they're going to play this year. But it's just a feel for the game, and they have a better flow so far this year compared to a year ago.
Sam Cassell knifing between defenders, and kiss it again off the window. With 1 minute and 33 seconds to go now, Kevin Ollie is going to clear his bench, bring in the walk-ons. Christian Foxen into the game, as is Mike Noyes and Namde Amilo. Amilo came as a walk-on. He has earned a scholarship. And I love it when the walk-ons come on. The crowd really gets into it.
The crowd, the teammates.
There's Ryan Bernstein getting all the way to the 10. His first bucket of the game as we're coming up on 1 minute to go.
Christian Foxen, I believe, threw down a little flush in the last exhibition game, which brought everyone to their feet.
Connecticut sitting on 98. Will they get to 100? Fox in from the corner. That's halfway down, but comes out. Is going to go to the free throw line and shoot two as we get a look at tonight's players of the game presented by People's United Bank. It's Sean Miller and Amita Brima. Miller, a double-double, shot 8 of 10 from the floor, and Brima dominant defensively, 9 blocks to go along with his 18 points.
High percentage at the rim, and most of it started with Daniel Hamilton as the facilitator from the top, from the wing in transition, but unselfish play by everyone on Connecticut tonight. I think Kevin Olly's been much more pleased in the second half with their defensive effort, not only in the paint blocking shots and protecting the rim, but on the perimeter not allowing Maine to find angles on dribble penetration.
9 blocks by Amita Brima, 1 away from tying the single game program record that was set by Ashim Thabit back in 2009. He had 10 against Providence. There's the mid-range jump shot. Mike Noyes. The walk-on brings the crowd here to the feet and gets Connecticut up over the 100-point mark. And look at the bench.
They weren't that happy when they won the national championship, Gary.
You know, guys like Noyes, they just work so hard. It's great to see them get some recognition.
Well, they're important at every program, but more important than UConn. Over the years, Jim started with Jim Calhoun. They make sure they have at least five solid walk-ons, and they come in every day and they put the pennies on and they get their head beaten in by the first 2 teams. And so the other players really appreciate when they get an opportunity to have a little fun and success.
Connecticut, first time they've scored 100 points in a game since December 14th of 2014 when they did so against Coppin State. So final seconds tick off as the Connecticut Huskies win their opening game of the season as they blow out the Maine Black Bears 100-56. Total domination here for UConn. They led by a dozen at the half, Tim. At the second half, it was all Huskies.
It started with their defense, but you know, when they create things, whether it's blocking shots or turnovers or just getting the rebound off the glass and go, they really look dangerous in transition because they push it up the sideline, then they attack to the rim and they change sides of the floor. They make the extra pass, and they've got some really good, tough finishers at the rim.
Connecticut put 4 in double figures tonight, led by Sterling Gibbs. He had 20. Amita Brima, 18, and again the 9 blocks. Sean Miller had 17. He had a double-double. And Rodney Purvis had 10 points for Connecticut as they shot 58% in the second half, 54.5% overall. Let's send it to Kareth Burke. She's standing by with the head coach.
He's congratulating Sean right now, but Coach, you just took a look at that box score. What stood out to you?
I just thought we shared the basketball. I think we had 9 turnovers for the whole game, which is tremendous. Assists, we had like 20-21, which is great. I think in the second half, they went 1 for 19 the first 14 minutes of the second half. So, you know, I think that's good defense. We wanted to be aggressive. We wanted to rebound better, and I think we took care of business, which was great.
You said a lot of sharing of the basketball, and I think people wanted to know what would UConn's guards bring. They're deep, they're talented. What did you notice?
You know, they pushed the basketball, and they was unselfish. Sterling got out to a good start, hit a couple shots, got aggressive, pushed the basketball. Daniel, we can play him all over the court. We can play him at the 4. He's another point guard out there. I think he had 9 assists pushing the ball, just being unselfish. And I think it makes everybody touch the ball, make everybody have a good feeling when you're able to do that. And, you know, hopefully we just continue that throughout the season.
And a double-double for Sean, some highlight reel moments for your bigs. How well was this offense balanced tonight? Yeah,
it was great balance. I think Sterling had 20, Sean had 17, Mita had 18. It's great balance. Sean did a great job rebounding the basketball. He missed a couple of them, but I think he's going to get those later. But he got his double-double, and we're just going to keep it rolling. We want to good defensive teams, great defensive teams in possessions with rebounds. And I think he's going to be a great rebounder for us. We've been looking for that, you know, for a long time. And now I can say a big on probably hopefully lead us in rebounding, not a guard.
Kevin, thank you very much. Congrats on the first win.
Bye-bye.
Gary, back to you.
All right, Gareth. UConn had 20 assists on their 36 buckets. They held Maine to just 30% shooting on the night. We'll come back, have more from Gamble in a moment.